Welcome back to the Ross Bolin podcast, presented by Bolin Media. I am Ross Bolin, joined today by producer Cade Orris. Cade, say hello to the listeners.
Hello, listeners.
And remember, listeners, you can also watch our show on youtube.com/@the-Ross-Bolin-Podcast if you would prefer that method of consumption. Even if you wouldn't prefer that method of consumption, we'd appreciate you going to youtube.com/@the-Ross-Bolin-Podcast and subscribing, please, and thank you. This morning, news broke that the PGA Tour has agreed to merge with the organization that owns LIV Golf, a rival league which is backed by the Saudi Arabia Public Investment Fund, an entity controlled by the Saudi Crown Prince. Now, even if you don't give a shit about golf, this story is absolutely insane. Like, Cade doesn't really care about golf or know what is happening. So, Cade, you'll serve as our audience avatar today and ask me questions for the listeners that are kind of in the dark, okay?
Sounds good. Yeah, no, I do have some questions for sure.
And as everyone knows, I am a golf expert, as I attended the Masters in 2017, which is how I got this hat that says 2017 Masters. So to give you some background on this story, for the last couple years, LIV Golf has been stealing, really, PGA players by paying them absurdly batshit crazy amounts of money. Like Brooks Koepka, who reportedly received a $100 million signing bonus to join LIV Golf, which is also what Dustin Johnson and Bryson DeChambeau received, or Phil Mickelson, who reportedly received $200 million. And if you're asking, who are these people? They were three of the most recognizable and famous names in the game of golf. They still are, really.
And didn't they try to get Tiger too? And he got like even more than these dudes?
Allegedly, they offered Tiger like $1 billion. And he said no. Yeah, they tried to get as many guys as they could. I mean, they were outright, it seemed, trying to create a golf league to compete with the PGA. And the PGA, if you're not a golf person, is the only golf entity that really matters in the United States. That is the Professional Golfers Association. It is the thing that if you're a golfer, you're trying to make it to the PGA, be on the PGA Tour, just like how baseball players are trying to make it to Major League Baseball, to the MLB. Basketball players, National Basketball Association, football players.
Well, this is more like the NFL or like the XFL or the USFL, like the LIV.
Essentially,
situation.
It would be like if the XFL, which is that, I think it's The Rock.
Yeah.
His whole football league. If they suddenly had so much goddamn money from Saudi oil that they were able to just purchase a bunch of the best NFL players to the point that it literally became a problem for the NFL.
Yeah, throw like $500 million at Patrick Mahomes and trying to get him in your league,
right?
Essentially.
Right. So what LIV Golf started doing, which again is owned by this, what is it, the Saudi Arabia Public Investment Fund. It's called the PIF for short, but I'm going to say it as it is because I feel like they keep putting PIF in places and it kind of sweeps under the rug exactly what you're talking about, but it's the Saudi Arabia Public Investment Fund, which is directly controlled by the Saudi Crown Prince. They just started paying PGA golfers amounts of money that they, in some cases, clearly could not refuse. They and they ended up getting a bunch of really big names, frankly. Some guys that were young and in kind of the prime of their careers still, like you could argue Brooks Koepka was, although he has struggled with injuries and such over the last couple years. But Bryson DeChambeau is another one. Like these are guys that were competing regularly on the PGA Tour in the top 10. And everybody who pays attention to golf. Like I would say I'm a just being transparent, a fairly casual golf fan. I tune in for the majors. It depends largely on the leaderboard, how closely I'm paying attention. If things are really hot, I might watch, for the Masters every year, I watch pretty much the whole thing every day.
Yeah.
But as far as the other majors go, like I'm usually a dude who's tuning in Saturday if the leaderboard is really hot, but frankly, Sunday is the day that I'm much more likely to be turning on my TV and watching golf. So, point is, LIV Golf starts taking players, right? in response, and this has never happened before. That's another piece of this that should be recognized. Like, there has never been a situation in which one of the major sports leagues in the United States was actually challenged by a new league. Like, that is not a thing that happens. It just isn't. Like I said, golf, PGA, basketball, NBA, football, NFL, hockey, NHL. Like, everybody knows where you go if you make it pro, right? First time we've ever seen something like this. So it was fascinating, got reported on a lot, got talked on a lot. And in response, the PGA basically started playing the terrorism card, suggesting that players who joined this Saudi Arabia league were supporting the Saudis' human rights atrocities, and that the players who left the PGA and joined LIV Golf were ultimately responsible for doing 9/11.
That's a huge jump right there.
I mean,
from playing golf to being the cause of 9/11.
Yeah, no, but in all seriousness, like literally less than a year ago, I think it was June 12th of last year, the PGA commissioner is a dude named Jay Monahan, the same man who made the merger announcement today. He was on national television during a tournament discussing what he called the, quote, significant implications of joining LIV Golf, and said that he would ask the players that have left and any players that would consider leaving the PGA Tour, have you ever had to apologize for being a member of the PGA Tour? And Jay was pretty much directly connecting the worst terrorist attack in this country's history, 9/11, and the supposed involvement of the Saudi government in funding terrorism to the LIV Golf League, and implying that players who join that league are essentially supporting the group that did 9/11. Because in the course of the conversation, it came up that there's this foundation, this group of people that are like 9/11 victims' family members that were extremely upset with like Phil Mickelson for leaving the PGA and going to LIV Golf. Like, they put out a statement. They sent shit to Phil and his representation being like, what the hell, man? These people did 9/11 and now you're going to play golf for them and taking their blood money? So it was like, basically, the commissioner of the PGA took the opportunity to go on TV during this tournament, knowing he would be asked about this, and try to make it even more difficult for players to leave the PGA by painting LIV Golf in the light of terrorism.
Yeah, I saw like a bunch of 9/11 stuff like about this, and I just had no idea like what the connection was there.
Yeah, so, it's a fucking mess. So,
and this was last year.
Yeah, okay. That was last year in June, but it hasn't
when everything like started to get announced.
I mean, it was already going for a bit, but like this is when it was really getting contentious. Like they were pulling some major names over to LIV Golf. And the irony is, of course, that today Jay Monahan announced a merger with that very same league. And in doing so, he absolutely betrayed every single player who turned down generational wealth from the Saudis to stay with the PGA. And this is another piece of it. It's not like professional golfers don't make good money. I mean, especially if you're a guy who's in the top 100 players in the world, regularly competing for top 10 spots in tournaments and such. Like, you're making good money. But winning most of the majors, really only like you pull in a couple $1,000,000. I think there's one of them where you make like 10 or 15, like a huge. I think maybe it's the PGA Championship, if I'm not mistaken. But the numbers that the Saudis were throwing at these guys, like Brooks Koepka getting $100 million, that's a signing bonus, just a signing bonus. And then they had like massive purses, meaning prize money, for each of their tournaments too, like beyond anything the PGA has been putting up. Okay. So it's extremely complicated when you break this down to like the minute details. Like, for instance, the PGA has been a non-profit entity this entire time, meaning that it's not for profit. And one of the things that they're doing with this new deal, if it indeed does go through, will be becoming for profit. So they're going away from the foundation of how this organization has been set up since its inception, and now just being like, oh, fuck it, we'll take the money, which is it's just a wild thing to see. It's like perhaps the most cut and dry example of money over morals and pure hypocrisy that I've ever seen in my life, especially as it relates to sports, where it's just like they were coming out and like using the whole Saudi terrorism thing to dissuade existing PGA players from accepting these massive, massive, massive paychecks Like, stay with us. You don't want to be a terrorist. And then a year later,
they're switching sides. They're
not even switching sides. They're literally letting them join the
joining
team.
forces.
Yeah, it's fucking insane. It doesn't make any sense. It'd be like if halfway through the Star Wars saga, they were like, the rebels made an announcement. Hey guys, you know what? We thought it over. We think the Empire has some good points. We're gonna join up. Same team, right? It's fucking wild. So like, a piece of it. Nobody was watching LIV Golf. If you're like, well, how'd they do competing? When they pulled all these big names, did they become a big deal? Were people tuning into the tournaments? No.
You mean people weren't tuning in to check out the aces and the fireballs?
No. They set
the
up,
range goats?
like golf, famously, an individual sport, right? Guys go out, they play. It's just them and their caddy. There's no fucking team, right? They sign to sponsors like Callaway Golf has like a bunch of pro golfers and Titleist, but like they're not on teams. It's an individual sport. This LIV Golf League created these fucking idiotic teams with these silly ass, horribly marketed names and logos that look like they're from like, you know how when you buy like a sports video game and you create your own team and it allows you to pick like logos and jerseys and shit?
Yeah.
Like it all looked like that, like just bootleg, super bootleg. But nobody was watching this shit, like not a single person. I know some really hardcore golf fans. None of them were watching LIV Golf. I don't even think it was available on TV until a couple months ago when they got like a contract done with the CW. Before that, you had to go on YouTube and fucking stream the tournaments, which is just ridiculous. And like, it just, literally nobody was watching this shit. And then I've got a thread here from No Laying Up, who does great golf coverage in general, but on Twitter at No Laying Up, said, probably an important distinction. The new deal is a partnership between the PGA Tour, the DP World Tour, which is the European League, and the PIF, which is that Saudi public investment fund. This is not the LIV and the PGA Tour merging. This has been said many times and not been true yet, but I don't think LIV as we know it exists anymore. So it sounds like they're just like getting rid of LIV Golf altogether. So all this shit with the teams and it sounds like that'll all be gone. They're just joining it together. Everybody will be on the PGA.
Are they taking like most of like the sponsorship stuff, or like how's their deal gonna work?
Nobody knows yet. The details are not public, but like the LIV Golf didn't really have any sponsors. I mean, their sponsor was the PIF, which is just backed the entire thing.
So are they backing the PGA now? Or
yes, that's a huge part of what's happening here. So just to continue with this thread, No Laying Up says, none of this is going to be clean. The tour are rightfully going to look like massive, massive hypocrites in this, yet in the same punch, they secure the funding for their tour while wiping out LIV. The players that stuck up for the tour are very justified in being pissed. There has to be some kind of sanctioning for the LIV players taking membership back up. And in the irony of all ironies, the players that turned down the Saudi cash have to get compensated in Saudi money now. They go on to explain, we are truly so early in all of this. And that's true. And I also understand that No Laying Up has their entire brand built around coverage of the PGA. So for the PGA to take a massive misstep and join forces with this Saudi thing isn't a great feeling for them, I'm sure.
And I saw like a bunch of the players had no idea that this was happening.
Right. Apparently, one of the missteps Jay Monahan made, or perhaps it depends on how you look at it, right? Like, but from an optics standpoint, you would think you'd want to at least tell the players who are in the PGA, hey, we're about to make this massive historic
deal.
Don't
they claim they're like a players league?
Yes,
too,
like
something?
A player-run league.
Yeah.
They try to be all about the players and making their voices heard, and then none of them apparently knew this was going to happen. So they all found out the same way that we did. So guys like Rory McIlroy, Tiger Woods, who turned down hundreds of millions of dollars from the LIV Golf League to stay loyal to the PGA, found out today through Twitter, just like I did, that the PGA was merging with that league. So the crazy irony is that guys like Phil Mickelson, who took $200 million, or Brooks Koepka, who took $100 million to go play at in the LIV Golf League, they're now going to be back in the PGA and still got paid. So they got those bags, and now they're just back in. Like, basically, they won.
Yeah. And so I think they couldn't play in like the majors, right? But they could still play in other like PGA
No, they could only play in the majors.
Oh, but
they
not
could
the
not
other-
play in the PGA tournaments. So like not
Okay.
in the PGA Tour
but they could
tournaments.
do the Masters or whatever. Okay.
Yeah. And it's like one of the things that they're talking about that must be a consideration is like whether or not the LIV golfers will be able to just like join back, or is there going to be a fine? People were joking like, "Oh yeah, you got to give us $250,000 of that $100 million you got." Like, to, you know what I mean? It's such a bad look. According to CNBC, these two entities signed an agreement that would combine the PGA Tours and LIV Golf's commercial businesses and rights into a new, yet-to-be-named, for-profit company. The agreement includes the DP World Tour, also known as the PGA European Tour. As part of this deal, the Saudi Arabia Public Investment Fund is prepared to invest billions of dollars in new capital into this new entity. So essentially they were like, yeah, we'll get rid of LIV Golf and give you billions of dollars if you let us in. Let us have a seat at the table. Let us be a part of this thing. They bought their way in to the largest golf brand in the world and the largest golf league, the only golf league that matters in the world, which is, it just feels like a bit of a slippery slope. Here's a bit more context from CNBC. Critics of LIV have accused the Saudi Arabia Public Investment Fund of sports washing by using the league to distract from the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia's history of human rights violations. It says family members of those who perished in the September 11, 2001 terrorist attacks have protested the league, including outside of events. 15 of the 19 hijackers on September 11th were from Saudi Arabia, and Osama bin Laden, the mastermind behind the attacks, was born in the country. It has been concluded by U.S. officials that Saudi nationals helped fund the terrorist group Al-Qaeda, although investigations didn't find that the Saudi officials were complicit in the 9/11 attacks. The group of 9/11 Families United said they were, quote, shocked and deeply offended by the merger in a statement on Thursday. Here's their entire statement. Mr. Monahan talked last summer about knowing people who lost loved ones on 9/11, then wondered aloud on national television whether LIV golfers ever had to apologize for being a member of the PGA Tour. They do now, as does he. PGA Tour leaders should be ashamed of their hypocrisy and greed. Our entire 9/11 community has been betrayed by Commissioner Monahan and the PGA, as it appears their concern for our loved ones was merely window dressing in their quest for money. It was never to honor the great game of golf. So, just from a strictly capitalistic perspective, removing the morals and the questions around the principles of the thing, the merger probably does make sense. Like if you're operating a company and somebody else just with an insane wealth of money that you cannot compete with financially, that they could just drown you, creates a competitor and starts pulling your talent long term, even if short term, like LIV Golf hadn't gotten a ton of hype, hadn't gotten a ton of press, hadn't gotten a ton of coverage, didn't have a shitload of fans, people by and large just made fun of it. Long term, that's a problem. You want to solve that problem, however you can. Now, when you tie in, like from a moral standpoint, when you look at the principle of the thing, it is an absolute abomination, no matter which way you try to shake it. And it looks like, in hindsight, Jay Monahan, the commissioner of the PGA, was using 9/11, again, one of the worst days in the history of the country, as a bargaining chip. Because the more players he could keep on the PGA Tour, knowing that this day was going to come where they had to merge, the more negotiating power he'd have.
So you think, like, he wasn't just gonna, like, he didn't think he was gonna die. Like, you thought he had to, like, do this at some point.
I think if it was less than a year ago, he had to have known that eventually they'd have to come to the table. I think so. And the other piece of this is that there were all these lawsuits, antitrust lawsuits. PGA was suing LIV was suing them, like something along those lines. There were several different antitrust lawsuits, which have to do with monopoly and whether or not one organization controls an entire industry and all that type of shit. And one of the theories is that throughout the course of these legal proceedings, the PGA considered that there were things that were going to come out in terms of internal communications, in terms of their own finances, that they didn't want to come out. So rather than let the lawsuits play out in court, it's like settling almost, right?
Yeah.
So that's another one of the theories in play here, that they're trying to cover up shit that would have come out had they let the legal proceedings continue. So instead they're like, fuck it, we'll just join up. Forget those 9/11 families. Which is fucking crazy. It's just fucking, it's nuts. And like, I'm not saying like it's just the message that they are sending, that the PGA is sending, is essentially that when it comes down to it, nothing matters but money. Not patriotism, not morality, not good versus evil or right versus wrong. None of that matters. Just money. Which is, it's a terrible feeling. Even for a casual golf fan, I'm just like, they what? They what? And I'm not saying like, ooh, Saudi Arabia bad, United States good. Like, obviously in the United States of America, we have our own moral dilemmas. We certainly do. But hypocrisy does not just excuse more hypocrisy. And that seems to be where we're at now as a nation. It is a sad, weird, slippery slope. Because like, what happens when the Saudi Arabia Public Investment Fund creates a baseball league and they offer Shohei Ohtani $2 billion to come play? Then what? Are they going to buy their fucking way into Major League Baseball? Why would they not just do this with every league now? I would.
They might.
They have the money.
Yeah.
There's no reason financially that they couldn't do this just replicate it. Like maybe golf, maybe the PGA was the most susceptible because frankly, quite a boring organization. I mean, and just a boring sport on a lot of levels. Like if like me being a casual fan, like I said earlier, explaining like largely it depends on the star power present near the top of the leaderboard, whether or not I'm going to even consider tuning in for a tournament. They were susceptible. They hadn't changed anything up. They didn't do anything exciting, create teams, create different fucking setups for tournaments and shit, which is what LIV Golf was trying to do. And what a lot of golfers wanted to see happen with the PGA. But just because the PGA was the most susceptible, hypothetically, like now they've proven the concept. Now everybody knows it works.
Yeah.
Like they can go do this shit again with baseball, basketball, football, soccer. Like it's gonna be a fucking shitstorm. And it just looks bad. They forced their way into the most prestigious golf league in the world, and I don't know why they wouldn't attempt to replicate this with other sports. I feel like NFL, NBA, MLB, NHL, they all have to be at least considering the larger implications of what is happening today. And if I'm Adam Silver, I'm on the phone with China right now, trying to get as many deals through as possible in the next 48 hours while this LIV Golf thing is the biggest story in the world, so that nobody pays attention to what they're doing with the NBA in China. Because if you'll remember, one of the big reasons that spurred this conversation on our podcast a couple years back about money over morals was Daryl Morey essentially taking a public moral stance against China, and then LeBron James flaming him publicly for costing him money. Because China was like, well, fuck you, we won't play NBA games anymore. Like, they literally took the Rockets off TV.
A huge market there.
Massive market. Billions and billions of people. And they fucking love basketball. They fucking love LeBron James. And in that case, like, LeBron was, I wonder now if he regrets his decision to come out publicly and be like, man, fuck Daryl Morey. He needs to shut his mouth when he doesn't know what he's talking about. Like, I don't think he was considering the larger implication. And this is what happens. This is what happens with money, man. It's a crazy, powerful thing that we grow up hearing money is the root of all evil and all these phrases that are supposed to teach you or keep in the back of your head like money can fuck you up. It really, really can. But then when you get into a position where it's your money, all that shit kind of goes out the window. And it's just funny now. Like in a terrible way, kind of funny now. I mean, Major League Baseball, or the National Basketball Association, essentially was doing everything they were doing under the guise of trying to grow the game. We're just trying to bring the sport to other places in the world and get more fans. And it was like, well, you're dealing with the Chinese Communist Party, who everybody knows commits human rights atrocities on a fairly regular basis. There's a pretty large issue with the Uyghur Muslims. It's a group of Muslims that they have in a bunch of camps, like millions of them, I believe. Don't quote me on that. Google it if you want to learn about it. Just type in Chinese Muslim labor camps and you'll get your answers. But there were human rights issues at play. But now in hindsight, I would say China has done a fairly decent job of burying most of their shit. Everybody fucking knows about this Saudi Arabia stuff. I've been hearing about Saudi Arabian human rights issues since I was a small child. Women can't drive. Now they got the right to drive. They took the right to drive back away. That's the more simple shit. And then there's the terrorism shit. And then there's the stuff with their punishment of gay people and all that crazy shit that comes into play. The fact that this is unfolding during Pride Month has somehow been lost on the PGA Tour. I don't think they care. But it's just we're in this fucking insane place now as a country and as a capitalistic society where we have found every possible excuse to look away from the bad shit as long as it's in the name of money. And this is the weirdest example ever because the guy was literally exploiting the fact that there's ties to terrorism and 9/11, invoking 9/11, and then within a 360-day calendar year, going the complete opposite direction.
And now he's in support of 9/11.
It's fucking crazy. It's fucking crazy. It is one of the craziest things that has ever happened. Almost to the point that I'm wondering. We just finished watching Succession, and without any spoilers here, for those of you who didn't and plan on it. There's a part of Succession's plot line that is whether or not the government will allow a merger to go through or a deal to go through because of the implications. And I wonder if the government doesn't step in here. You know how the American government is so concerned with TikTok being Chinese owned and shit? What about this? What about the fucking PGA being partially controlled by the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia through a public investment fund? It's fucking crazy. And I don't know how it's going to end, but...
there's going to be a lot more that unfolds here in the near future, I'm sure. Is it going to change anything, tour-wise?
It sounds like yes. It sounds like they will be using this to usher in a new era of the PGA Tour, where I have to imagine they will install some of the features of LIV Golf. Maybe there will be a team event. Shit like that.
Yeah.
Which, if you're looking for upside here as a golf fan, there might be some.
But I don't think they needed
No.
Saudi Arabia to do that for them.
Well, now they never have to worry about money again.
Sure.
And now they can pay these guys more. And now they can make the purses bigger. And that's what I'm saying. From a strictly capitalistic perspective, I get it. They were in a bad spot. But they put themselves in that spot. And they made it about shit that they shouldn't have made it about. And it's going to be wild to see how they try to make this thing make sense.
Yeah. I saw they had a players meeting today, too.
Yeah, I think it's in 15 minutes.
That'll be interesting to hear what comes from that.
And how there's that Netflix, they have their version of golf, but Hard Knocks.
Or Drive to Survive.
No, that's F1.
Yeah, but I'm saying that's what it's like.
Yeah, it's like that. I think it's called Full Swing. Apparently their cameras were rolling, getting player reactions as this news broke. And it'll be on the next season.
Oh, boy.
Which is going to be fucking wild. But, dude, this got so bad that there were, player rivalries that had intensified as a result.
Yeah, Rory and Phil, right?
They fucking hate each other. Regularly taking shots at each other in interviews and, Phil just going at Rory on Twitter. And now they're going to be back in the same league. And one of them's going to be $200 million richer than the other. Because he took that money that Rory probably, in hindsight, wishes he could have taken. That's the thing. Guys who took what I would see as a sound moral stance, and I'm not saying be loyal to the prestige of the PGA. I don't give a fuck about any of that. But the Saudi aspect of it is fucking weird. The PIF is weird. All the shit with the terrorism is weird. It's certainly enough of a red flag for if I was one of these dudes and I was already generationally wealthy like Rory, I don't think I would do it. But the fact that he didn't now has to feel weird too. I could have gotten another 200 mil at a minimum. They certainly offered Rory McIlroy more than Phil fucking Mickelson, or maybe somewhere around the same. let's be honest, Rory hasn't been great the last several years, but not consistently anyway. Let's just say it would have been $200 million. Like I'll look up Rory McIlroy's career earnings real quick and see what they are. $126 million. He could have doubled what the fuck he's made his whole career in one signature, dude. That's why these guys were going over there. Rory's one of the more successful professional golfers in the history of the game. These dudes were signing their name and getting what Rory's made his whole career just like that, without even having to swing a club. That was just a signing bonus. And that's that. If you're like, how are these guys getting convinced? That's how they were getting convinced. It was such an outrageous amount of money that every single person who got the offer had to consider it, I think. But a lot of them didn't take the money. The ones that did have to feel pretty fucking smart right about now. And it's just, I've never seen anything like it. I don't know how it will end. It is bizarre. It's highly entertaining from a sports fan perspective.
Oh yeah, no, I'm loving the stuff I see on Twitter right now.
This is the most exciting golf has ever been. And the content, it is the most exciting golf has ever been. And the content around it is unbelievable. Like, one of the things I like to do now on Twitter, especially when it comes to extremely touchy subjects, like the Target stuff
what's
that's
up with
going on.
that?
Right? Target had, as a short aside, Target had a bunch of pride-friendly clothing, like for LGBTQ plus Pride Month, right? Which is June, which is right now. They had a bunch of pride-friendly clothing, and there was like one item in particular that was trans-friendly, and it was a tuck-friendly, a lot of friendlies, tuck-friendly swimsuit. So that like if you wanted to tuck your junk, if that was one of the things you do, you could do that with this swimsuit. But it was marketed as such, right? Well, a certain sect of our country found out about that and lost their fucking minds. And it generally, so I get on Twitter and I just ask questions because I'm just curious. Like, if you're one of the people who's boycotting Target because they were selling Pride Month stuff and trans-friendly swimsuits, like what? Like, why are you upset? I'm just curious. I don't even put it that way. I just am like, what? Explain it to me, because I just want to know. Like, from a strictly neutral perspective, and the way people answer that question is with like pure aggression. Like, how fucking dare you ask? You clearly are as far left as you could possibly be. You and I don't see things to say. Like, they just assume a whole bunch of shit about you if you're even asking. Like, that's a big part of the movement, is like, you don't ask any fucking questions. You just boycott with us or you fuck right off. Like, that's it. There's no in between. There's no middle ground. You're either with us or you're all the fucking way against us. And that to me is wild as hell. But I was doing the same thing with it. Like, I'm not going to sit here and take a stance on the Target thing today. I'm of the position that if something is not about me, I'm not educated enough on the subjects, which for the most part, when it comes to LGBTQ plus issues, I'm not. I know a little. I try to stay as informed as I can, but a lot of it is complicated for a straight white dude to wrap his head around. And when it's not my place to like take a stance on one thing or another, my stance is let people do what the fuck they want to do with their lives. And if the clothes aren't for you, they're not for you. They're not for you. Don't buy the clothes. I don't understand how that's that hard. Don't buy the fucking clothes, man. Don't buy the tuck-friendly swimsuit if you're not trying to tuck. That's what the tuck-friendly swimsuit is for. It's for tucking. If you're not a tucker, don't tuck. Fucking, I don't know. But part of their argument is that, like, so this is on Twitter, one of these people explained to me, I was like, so is the idea that if a child walks past one of these pride items or trans-friendly tuck swimsuits, that they're going to be somehow influenced by that? And that you think a non-LGBTQ plus child would suddenly become that by seeing this or wearing it?
That's what flips them.
But that's the implication. That's what a lot of these people are saying, is like that Target is pushing gender affirmation stuff on children, which I don't see it that way. But again, maybe that's just me. I don't see it. I don't see how that could possibly be the case. That somebody who isn't putting themselves into one of those categories already sees a shirt or a swimsuit and goes, you know what? Now
I can
I'm
see
trans.
myself in this, actually.
Yeah, now I'm trans.
Yeah.
Now because the tuck-friendly swimsuit exists, now I'm going to come out at 6 years old or whatever. Like, but maybe that is the fucking way it works. Like, that's the other, it's a complicated issue. I've heard from trans people who are like, I knew that I was this way from a very young age, and it was insanely challenging for me to not be able to address it or do anything about it or get hormone therapy or whatever. And like, I can't wrap my head around that. I don't know what that is like. So I don't feel like it's my place to have a really strong stance on it, which is why my stance in this particular instance is like, let people live their lives the way they want to live their lives. And this goes for the Target boycotters too. If they want to boycott Target, fuck them. Let them boycott. The only group or person in the wrong here is Target. They backed down. They removed a bunch of items, which is like the most pussy-ass move you could possibly make in your fucking... It's like, you never back... This is the negotiating with terrorists thing, which we apparently do now as a country. It's fucking crazy. It doesn't make sense. So I was on Twitter asking people about the LIV Golf stuff. Just asking questions, trying to see how...
Just asking questions.
Trying to see how people felt. I'm just asking questions. And the fucking outrage. I mean, people are extremely opinionated on this topic. Almost as much so as with the Target stuff. Where I'm just like, what? Can't even have a conversation. You're sweeping me into buckets that I didn't even know I was in. I didn't even know you're just so much assuming. I just want answers. I'm just curious what the fuck you're talking about, why you're so angry about this shit. But it's like, one guy I was like, I brought up the Saudi terrorism ties. And he was like, you don't think the United States has ever done anything terrorist? I'm like, I didn't fucking say that. I was just, I'm curious what you thought about this.
We have.
But we certainly have. We certainly have. Absolutely no argument that over the course of the history of the United States of America, we have done extremely fucked up shit.
So that was his argument, was that because we also have, so
this is fine.
This is fine.
This is fine.
We're all terrorists.
Then that's why I'm like, there's the hypocrisy begets hypocrisy thing, which I don't know how to fight against that. Like, so we can just all make the worst, but somebody else killed somebody, I can kill somebody. What's the fucking difference?
An eye for an eye, you know?
It's already being done. I just don't get that. I don't get the way of looking at that. But I mean, we have just so many examples right now throughout society, whether it be politics or social issues or sports. Like, I just didn't see. I never thought the day would come where golf would get swept up. And I mean, it doesn't help that there was a point where like a lot of golf clubs didn't allow black people, didn't allow women, some that still don't, whether it be directly or indirectly. And that doesn't help. It doesn't make it better or easier.
Doesn't help grow the game, no.
It just fucking does not help grow the game. This is like, it's a mess. I mean, if I'm giving my honest reaction in terms of like, what does this do for, as a casual golf fan, how does this make me feel? Like, am I less likely to tune in now? Yeah, a little bit. This is fucking ridiculous. Like, it just is so, the hypocrisy is a massive turnoff to me as a consumer. I don't like it. I don't want to have to think about 9/11 while I'm watching fucking golf. That's not the goal for me. You know, I'll go watch that Nick Cage movie where he's storming into Tower 2 in a fireman's outfit if I want to fucking watch it, if I want to think about 9/11. I don't understand how we got here. It's so stupid that it's funny. And I never thought 9/11 would be that funny. I just didn't find it. I remember sitting in history class in high school and watching it unfold on the TV, and I wasn't laughing.
I hope not.
You know, I wasn't like, this is the funniest shit I've ever. But this is it's absurd to the point of humor. That's where we're at with golf.
Yeah.
And Target. And Bud Light. And I hate all of it. I really do. It stinks. And it's the fucking internet's fault, Cade. None of this shit would happen if not for the internet. We wouldn't even know about it. We'd find out about it in next week's Sunday paper or whatever and be like, oh, that's wild. Saudi Arabia, huh? Next.
Yeah, flip the page.
Bud Light No, we never even would have heard about that Dylan Mulvaney shit. We never would have heard about it. It was because literally it was this one social media paid post, the Bud Light thing.
That wouldn't be, on the front page. It wouldn't be like a little thing up in the corner. Like turn to page 20.
No journalist would have been reporting on the tuck-friendly swimsuit. Nobody would have ever known. And now we've got fucking lunatics.
Everything is news now.
Dude, people were like ransacking Targets.
Like just like stealing a bunch of shit, or like
no,
just like
knocking
destroying
shit over, like pushing over the pride-friendly racks of clothing and shit. Like, I'll show you.
You really got him.
What? You don't have better shit to do? Maybe it's that we got to the point where we're just so spoiled as a country. We have so much fucking free time that this is the type of shit we spend our time and energy on.
Wow. But yeah, no, this does not change my opinion on golf. I probably still would not be watching.
Give a shit.
Yeah.
But
honestly, it makes it more entertaining now for me.
Just to follow the story.
Yeah.
But, I mean, frankly, even the golf side of it, I think, will be more entertaining because what I'll be tuning in to see is, like, is Rory going to beat Phil Mickelson to death with his 9-iron?
I really hope they get paired up for one tournament.
Oh, my God, dude. It would be so glorious.
You like to think they have that in their mind.
And it's supposed to be like the gentleman's game, and it's going to devolve into these dudes beating the shit out of each other on live TV.
To Happy Gilmore.
Over 9/11.
Yeah.
It's been 20 fucking years, and it's never been more relevant than it is today. 9/11 will get typed into computers and phones today more than it has since the day it happened. What are they going to do on 9/11? How are they gonna? What is gonna happen with that? What if there's a tournament going on?
Oh man!
Like if 9/11 is on a Sunday this year, they're gonna need to avoid that scheduling wise with the golf.
Yeah, hopefully it gets rained out or something.
Holy shit! What a mess. Kate, any other questions about the PGA?
No, I think that's all covered. I'm waiting to hear how this player meetings go though.
Yeah, it's going to be a shitstorm. I wonder, one of the things I do want to learn more about in the next few days before I forget about this forever and never talk about it again that's the other thing is like, I wonder how quickly this will go away. Like, is this going to be 2 weeks and then we never care and we all move on with our lives?
I feel like you get about a week probably.
Right? But I want to know what the whole PIF thing, like what's the deal there? They just have a massive, massive pool of money that they're using to invest or buy their way into different things. And one thing I did read is that they're focusing on sports because they're trying to reshape Saudi Arabia's image. They don't want people to think Saudi Arabia women can't drive or Saudi Arabia 9/11. They want people to think Saudi Arabia golf.
Yeah.
Like what? Which I don't think is going to ever be the case, but like they have so much money, they just don't, like, what are they supposed to do?
They don't know what to do with it, yeah.
They used to fund terrorism with it. That got old. Now they're funding golf. It's like. Anyway, speaking of sports, today's episode is brought to you by MyBookie, our sportsbook sponsor here on RBP. If you're a sports bettor looking for a place to get some action during the NBA Finals, NHL, Stanley Cup going on right now, Major League Baseball's regular season, or on UFC fights or boxing matches, whatever sport. If you want to make your picks at a place that supports our show, mybookie.ag is the way to go. Just use code ROSS upon sign up to unlock a deposit bonus. Stipulations apply, and you'll get even more dough to throw at your favorite sporting events. MyBookie has all the prop bets, live lines, alternate lines, and futures that you could possibly need for all the sports all year long. Great online casino as well with live dealers, live blackjack, live roulette, all that good stuff. And right now, if you join the MyBookie family using the code ROSS at checkout to support our show, you'll instantly receive a deposit bonus giving you even more dough to throw at your favorite sporting event. What are you waiting for? If you're already betting on sports elsewhere and you're down to do so on a great platform that also supports your favorite podcast, code ROSS at mybookie.ag is the way to do it, folks. Just use code ROSS to unlock that deposit bonus. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere with MyBookie. So the new season of to change
something a little more light, and humorous.
To switch the vibes up entirely. The new season of I Think You Should Leave with Tim Robinson came out on Netflix. Like last week or the week before that? End of May.
Yeah, end of May.
And I finally got around to watching it. Now, if you're unfamiliar with I Think You Should Leave with Tim Robinson, it is a sketch comedy show helmed by the comedian Tim Robinson, who he's like a former SNL guy. He's done some random shit. You might recognize him just because he's so incredibly strange looking. Like he has a very unique face. Like you don't forget this dude's face. A couple seasons of his show came out over the last few years. I think the first one came out in 2020 or 2021. And then
2019.
2019,
Yeah.
okay. And then one came out in 2021, maybe?
Yes.
And it picked up a ton of steam during the pandemic in particular because people were stuck at home streaming whatever they could. And it's just so fucking goofy and silly and ridiculous that I think we all needed that in our lives, as we do still today, I think. And at some point, I finally watched it, like 3-4 months ago. I saw so many memes, so many references. People sent me so many clips of sketches that I was like, what is this? For like over 2 years. Just reference after reference after reference that I was like, what? Who? What is the joke you're making? Because it's one of those things where you cannot possibly understand it unless you've watched it. And I finally broke. Like I got to the point where I broke. What were you going to say?
No, I was just going to you're like, what's the joke exactly?
Why is this funny?
Yeah.
What the fuck is this ridiculousness? Yeah, so eventually I finally broke a few months back. And because so many people had told me like this is right up your alley, and I sometimes I don't like that. Like, you don't know me. You don't know my alley. But I finally watched it and I fucking, oh my God, dude. It is so good and so funny and so absurd. And you have to kind of be willing to acknowledge that going in. Because like, if you're not looking to laugh, it is a weird watch.
Yeah, no, that's the thing about the show. It's like you either love it or you hate it. But you definitely have to go in with the mindset that like, I'm going to laugh at this.
So the first 2 seasons offered up, I would say probably between the 12 episodes of the first 2 seasons, there's 6 episodes in each season, probably at least 5 to 8 of the funniest sketches I've ever seen. Like there's stuff that is laugh out loud, funniest shit I've ever seen in my life. There's stuff that is just like, haha, this is entertaining. And then there's stuff that is like, that was the dumbest fucking thing I've ever watched. And that's the way sketch comedy has always worked. Like if you go watch Chappelle's Show, by and large considered the greatest sketch comedy show of all time by a lot of people, there are sketches that are fucking outright awful. That like I don't get a single chuckle because I'm just like, what the fuck?
Yeah,
was this
sometimes
idea?
they just don't hit.
That's just the way it goes.
Yeah.
They don't hit for every single one can't hit for every single person, right? That's generally the way you should look at sketch comedy. So I was excited to get into season 3, and I finally did a few days ago, and I've watched it all now. And similarly, there were a handful of sketches that were some of the funniest shit I've ever seen. I was fucking crying, like uncontrollable laughter to the point I tears streaming down my face. Episode 1, dude, I had to turn it off. I had eaten an edible, and it had hit me pretty hard. And I turned on episode 1 several nights ago, and I was by myself downstairs. My wife was upstairs, like taking a bath or something. And I was like, this is my chance. I'll get in
because
some...
I don't think she probably enjoys
we'll
the
get to that in a minute.
Okay.
And I turned it on, and I'm in episode 1. I think it was it may have been Darmine Doggy Door, which might be the first sketch of episode 2. But at some point in the 20-minute block of me sitting there, because the episodes are only 15, 20 minutes long, I had to turn it off because I was stoned and I was laughing so hard that it started to give me anxiety. Like I was like, I need a break. Like I'm gonna pass out. And so I had to turn it off and walk away and like come back the next day. And I ended up finishing it yesterday. And while I was finishing it, at one point my wife came in and she sat down next to me on the couch. And first she noticed what I was watching and went, "Oh God, Ross." And I was like, "Babe, it's a new season. Just come." I was like, "Just come try like a few." And it was during the stretch of episode, I think 5, where there's a few weird ones in a row that aren't that funny. Not as funny anyway to me. And it was like the worst possible stretch she could have sat down
I was about to say the first 2 episodes were really strong.
Really, really strong.
And then like the back half, like I've been struggling to watch some of those. But yeah, I just keep going back to the first couple.
Yeah, she came in, I think, during the one where the dude, he goes to his daughter's school play, and one of their friends' grandpas
Shirt Brothers.
Shirt Brothers.
See, like, I didn't like that sketch a whole lot, but I love Shirt Brothers. And if I ever see someone wearing the same shirt as me, I'm going to call him that forever.
Oh, for sure. And I mean, that part of it is funny, but then it devolves into what his shirt brother does, like tearing up a classroom, and you're like, what the fuck is this? But it was just a weird one. Anyway, she sat down next to me during the worst possible stretch of episodes, and after a few, I was like, all right, we can stop. I was like, I apologized and shit. Like,
I promise you, it's so funny.
Each sketch would end, and she'd look over at me, just like, "Are you damaged? Like, what is going through your fucking peanut brain that you find this entertaining?" And yeah, I kept trying to justify it and like find ways to explain it. Like, these three haven't been that good, but like the first few are so funny. Best thing though. So I convinced her to stick around for like one more. Or it was the next day. I was like, can we just finish the last episode? I only have one left. And it went into like, you know how one episode ends and it automatically plays like a season 2 episode?
Oh yeah.
It went straight into Coffin Flop. And I fucking lost my shit. I went into another hysterical laughing fit where I was legitimately crying on the couch, and I didn't turn it off or like walk away this time. I just like had to put my head in my hands and stop looking, because every time I looked up and another coffin flop would happen, another body would fall through, I would lose it again. And that she also did not find funny.
Oh, that's a bummer.
Yeah,
that's one of the better ones.
There was one that she did laugh at. I can't remember which skit it was, but God, Coffin Flop is still one of the funniest things I've ever seen. And this is the weird thing about I Think You Should Leave with Tim Robinson. Even the sketches that I didn't particularly like or laugh at, Kate and I discussing them will make me laugh at them. Like the Shirt Brothers one. Like it's funny to talk about even when it's not funny to watch, because it's so fucking insane. Anyway, I finished season 3. I would say by and large, it was like there were several sketches where I was like, this dude still has his fastball. Because you always worry with sketch comedy, like eventually it's going to fall off. Yeah. It's going to lose its luster. It's going to get old. The shine is going to wear off. And he's definitely not there yet through 3 seasons. There were enough of these sketches that were like classic comedy to me that I'd still put it season 3 at the same level as I would put season 2 probably, which is the funnier of the first 2 to me. So let's talk about some of my favorite sketches. I mentioned the Darmine Doggy Door already.
Yeah, that was probably the first one that really got me, I think. Or I think it episode 2 or episode 1?
It may have been episode 1. I can't remember off the top of my head.
But I absolutely lost it at that one.
Yeah, that was phenomenal. It's like any of the ones where it's him doing an infomercial end up being some of the funniest shit I've ever seen in my life, whether it be what's the Coffin Flop television station called?
Corn Cob TV.
Yeah, I'm not signed into Netflix, and I don't know my login, and my computer doesn't have it saved. Oh yeah, it does. Haha! So I can see which episode is in. But yeah, that one, when that fucking pig comes out wearing a Richard Nixon mask, and I'm pretty sure the first time they show it, it's not a pig wearing a Richard Nixon mask.
No, it's some
like monstrous looking shit.
Yeah, it's really like a monster.
Yeah, because I watched this when I'm a little stony baloney at the end of the night. I was watching it and I was like, what the fuck is that? and then suddenly it was a pig with a Richard Nixon mask, and I was like, I don't think that's what it was when they first showed it.
You're like, wait, you had to rewind. It's like, was that it the whole time?
No, I rewatched the whole sketch because I was trying to figure it out. Now I still can't remember because, again, pot. But, okay, so first episode was a TV pundit copes with conflict. Team building breaks down. Is Ronnie here for the right? No, that's not the first one. That's the last one. I don't know. That's the other thing. There's no numbers on these things. I can never tell which one's the first episode and which one's the fucking 6th episode until you click on it, and then it'll say like S3, E6.
Yeah.
Or E1. But anyway, Doggy Door was fucking ridiculous. One of the ones I've seen people reference a lot is the driving crooner. And the reason this sketch is so funny is because he sets it up like you think he's going to be doing something noble. It's basically him and his coworkers talking about drinking and driving, and he's like, if any of you ever need a ride, you call me.
I love how he hands him a business card, too. Yeah. It's not like, here's my number, like just let me put it in your phone.
Well, he's the driving crooner. You got to have business cards for that.
Well, he has to make money off of it somehow, you know?
Yeah, it's such a fucking great idea. But the gist of it is, and it's making me giddy thinking about people listening to me explain this who have never watched this show. It's a man driving around with 2 decals on the outside sticker of his driver's side door that are a how would you describe that hat? Like an old school fedora,
yeah.
And then a cigar. And he pretends he's smoking the cigar and wearing the hat for anybody that's exactly right next to him.
Yeah, because if they go too fast, then it looks fake.
You're trying to make it look fake. Yeah, and his whole shtick when he's driving is that he tries to be. He calls it the driving crooner. Why does he, when he's smoking the cigar, why is he playing it like a flute?
I don't get.
What the fuck is wrong with this guy?
I don't know why he was doing that. Because they show it just him up front first, doing it,
yeah,
and then they cut to the side where you see the decals,
yeah.
And the first time I saw, it, I was like, "What the fuck is he doing?" Because he's waving too. It's oh man,
a fucking frat boys are gonna try to run you off the road.
Yeah, they're
dude.
trying to rip off the stickers.
Unbelievably funny. That one was great. The fake dating show Summer Loving was also phenomenal with the zip line.
I've been seeing that a lot on Twitter recently with the memes.
Everybody thinks Ronnie's just there for the zip line. But the best thing about that episode is that they cast it so perfectly where every other person on the fake dating show looks exactly like somebody who would be on a fake dating show.
Yeah.
And then there's Tim Robinson as Ronnie, who looks like Tim Robinson, who would never, ever, ever be on a dating show unless it was like a freak show dating show.
Yeah.
And it's just hysterical.
Yeah, and I love how they reference all these times where he was lying to the other guest or whatever
to get away from the activity and go back to the zip line. It's a zip line into a pool, which in fairness, that would be distracting to me.
Yeah, no, I'd definitely be on that all the time.
That would be distracting to me. Eggman game is great. Classic. He does. Just one of the things he does really well is he incorporates pop culture shit like game shows and dating game shows, right? And then or dating shows, I guess. And then office humor, corporate office humor.
Yeah.
Where that's what Eggman game ends up being about, where this dude is getting reprimanded by his boss and bitched at by another coworker, but he's not paying attention because he's playing the dumbest game in the history of computers. Where you drag eggs into another egg's mouth.
It's feed the egg. You gotta feed the egg.
But then you run out of eggs, so you buy 80 more eggs, but then one egg is 40 eggs.
I mean, how much could one egg cost?
And then he shows you his asshole. The egg does.
Yeah, I've seen the fucking egg's asshole so many times on Twitter, and it's been a week.
It's a little... He also has a bush. Why does he have a bush? He's an egg. Nobody knows. That's the show, though. Barley Tonight was the season opener, the first episode of the season. And this was all time. Essentially the entire bit is it's a guy that runs a talk show. And whenever his guest is correct about something and he is wrong or he is being out-talked or made to look like a fool, he just gets on his phone.
Yeah, and he could be on his phone for hours.
He loves his phone. He's got all kinds of games in there, medieval games.
Jousting games.
He has absolutely no problem being on his phone for hours. He fucking loves his phone. That was also next level funny.
Gonna get a lot of memes from that one.
Yeah.
Too.
Oh God, yeah. No, he's very, very good at making stuff that's memeable. And then virtual reality shopping spree also had me in stitches, where the dude puts on the virtual reality headset and then he can't breathe. And this is perfect timing because Apple announced their fucking, what is it called?
Apple Vision Pro.
Apple Vision Pro, which is going to run you over $3,000 if you want to buy Apple's giant virtual reality goggles. I'm going out on a little bit of a limb here because Apple obviously has had storied success as a company creating products. This is not going to work. Nobody is going to buy this fucking $3,000 goggle virtual reality headset.
Well, people will, but those people are idiots.
And they're very few people, I feel like. Some people bought Facebook's fucking VR headset. Some people bought it. Nobody that I know bought it. If they did, they didn't tell anybody because they were too embarrassed.
Yeah.
Which is how I feel about this. But I guess they were able to be like, well, we're Apple. people trust us. We can do the virtual reality headset, even though everybody else who's poured money into it has fucking failed miserably.
But yeah,
we'll pull it off.
Yeah, we'll do it better. But yeah, just with that thing, like, why would I want to watch TV through my goggles when I just because I get some extra graphics on the side? I don't need all that. I just want to watch the game.
It's the same shit as the meta pushing the metaverse. They're like, reality is so miserable. The real world sucks so much. Let us take you out of it and plug you into our fucking face mask.
Yeah, let's just get like one real screen, then 6 other screens that aren't even there on the side, just so you can never be away from the action, you know?
We already have iPhones. We all have them that have all this shit on them. We don't need a headset.
You already got too much shit on us. We don't.
Way too much shit. I watched fucking Carl Havoc again yesterday, too. I was losing my mind laughing. That was another one that my wife took in with me. She didn't crack at Carl. I think she got a slight giggle out of Carl Havoc, but what? I mean, she may have been giggling at how stupid I am next to her, just crying.
She saw you crying, yeah. You're like, oh god.
Yeah, but no, I'm out on the Apple goggles. I don't.
Yeah, just if you do buy, just make sure you breathe.
And yeah, breathe and keep it to yourself.
Yeah.
Don't tell anybody that you bought it. What any of the other sketches that you thought were great?
Honestly, I think you covered most of them. I still need to get them ingrained into my brain.
How many times have you been through it so far? I'm on my second watch through. I'm like halfway.
I just finished like my third one, I think. But yeah, no, it takes time to like remember all the quotes and stuff, and just all the funny lines.
You know what one of my favorite things about this show is? So he clearly writes every sketch where the ridiculous character is pure Tim Robinson humor, and then sometimes he goes and gets another comedian or just a totally fucking random like C-lister or Z-lister to come in and play the part that would have normally been Tim Robinson.
Yeah, like season 2 he had Bob Odenkirk, and then he had Fred Armisen.
Yes,
and there's another guy that's been in some stuff from the wedding one.
Yeah, the black dad at the wedding.
Yeah,
that dude. He's been in a ton of shit. He's the dude from the Dewey Cox story where he's like, "You don't want none of this shit, Dewey." Fucking hilarious, all-time comedian. I can't remember his name right now, which is gonna drive me nuts. You don't want none of this shit, Dewey. This is me typing it in. It's great podcasting. Don't worry about it. John C. Reilly tries drugs. Yes, that's the scene. Give me the guy's fucking name, though.
You probably could have looked up the movie and just got to the cast.
It's Walk Hard, the Dewey Cox story, which is a lot to type in. So I guess I can do that now. Tim Meadows flipping the fuck out. That was clearly like Tim Robinson could have played that role. And if you're a guest star that comes in and does one of these sketches, you're just supposed to do exactly what Tim Robinson would do.
Right.
That is fucking hilarious to me for some reason.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to his point though, like you can't do something silly in 3 seconds.
It's not enough time.
Not enough time.
That's not enough time.
Got too much shit going on business-wise.
Yeah. Anyway, if you haven't watched, I think you should leave. And you like pure comedy and silliness, and in some cases, it's extremely stoner-friendly comedy. I'll tell you, the show is funny to me either way. But when I'm high, I die.
It hits different.
I die. Sure. It is something else. So yeah, try it out. Give it a shot if you're looking for a laugh or just something to peel your brain off of the horrifying atrocities being committed by the PGA in Saudi Arabia. And Target. Today's episode is also brought to you by Liquid IV. Summertime is here, and as everyone knows, summer is hot. The most important season for hydration, no matter how active you are. Proper functional hydration is essential, and Liquid IV is the #1 powdered hydration brand in America. Their hydration multiplier is the one product you're missing in your daily routine. Use it first thing in the morning, before a workout, when you feel run down in the afternoon, after a night out with friends, or on long flights. With just one stick, you can hydrate real life 2 times faster than water alone. Plus, get essential vitamins and 3 times the electrolytes as leading sporting drinks. Liquid IV comes in 12 delicious, refreshing flavors to keep your hydration routine exciting. We have a massive supply of Liquid IV here at Bolin Media. which keeps producer Cade and I the most hydrated people possibly in the entire world. Not only is Liquid IV incredibly effective as a hydration tool, it tastes phenomenal as well with a variety of great flavors like Concord Grape, Lemon Lime, Piña Colada, Tropical Punch, Watermelon, Strawberry, and Passion Fruit. One stick of Liquid IV and 16 ounces of water hydrates you 2 times faster and more efficiently than water alone. It contains 5 essential vitamins, B3, B5, B6, B12, and vitamin C with 3 times the electrolytes of leading sports drinks, made with quality ingredients, non-GMO, and free from gluten, dairy, and soy. Liquid IV believes that equitable access to clean and abundant water is the foundation of a healthier world. They partner with leading organizations to fund and foster innovative solutions that help communities protect both their water and their futures. To date, Liquid IV has donated over 39 million servings in 50-plus countries around the world. Real people, real flavor, real hydrating. Grab your Liquid IV in bulk nationwide at Costco, or you can get 20% off when you go to liquidiv.com and use code ROSS at checkout. That's 20% off anything when you shop Better Hydration today using promo code ROSS at liquidiv.com. And I know I swore off talking about Kanye West forever after he went on an anti-Semitic Hitler-loving rant for like a month. But I didn't swear off making fun of his fashion, which has somehow, not surprisingly, become even more ridiculous than it has ever been before over these last couple months. It's almost like the dude said, hey, if I dress like a futuristic scuba diver every day, maybe people will forget I love Hitler and the Nazis. Have you seen any of these outfits, dude?
I saw it yesterday, and I saw a really good meme. It was so it's him and his wife in the picture you have.
Bianca Sensori.
Also, yeah, when the fuck did that happen?
Nobody knows.
Nobody knows. No one cares.
She's an architect, Cade.
Oh.
She used to work at Yeezy because Yeezy had architects employed for whatever reason. I think he was trying to build a futuristic society. Anyway, what was the meme?
So it was a pic of Kanye, and like his wife has like, it's like this black like draped over her, then like this big ass like I don't even know. How would you describe
like she's
that?
got a pillow wrapped around her neck.
Yeah, and so the meme was a picture of Kanye and then a picture from the movie Dune.
Yes, yeah.
And I forget what the scene was from.
I mean, they're at the top of like the tower, like the bad guy in Dune would be, or whatever. That outfit is the reason that this segment is happening. Kanye and his wife. And nobody knows if this is actually a legal marriage or just a hypothetical one. But her name is Bianca Sensori. She was an architect at Yeezy. And now they are wearing wedding bands and they go everywhere together and both look equally idiotic. He is wearing an Italian police shirt, I think it is. It says Police over shoulder pads.
That's what I was. It looks like he put some shoulder pads in there.
He's wearing shoulder pads, and that's over a shirt that is hanging out the bottom of the police shirt. And then he's wearing what I can only describe as Peter Pan leggings or tights.
No, those are tight on him, yeah.
And then there's no shoes. They're like very sock-like shoes. They look like scuba socks, basically. But the shoulder pads are the piece of the Kanye fit that really gets your attention. That or his total lack of ass. He's just such a flatter ass than I had imagined in my head.
Packing much junk in that trunk.
He looks like Hank fucking Hill. He's got nothing going on back there, and I don't know what the reason I bring up his ass is because I would think like when if you put on tights and then you looked in the mirror and you've got no shape to your backside, you'd be like, maybe these aren't the pants for me. Maybe.
Right, yeah. No, when I throw on my Buddy Elf costume, I have like some yellow like leggings.
Yeah, they go under, yeah.
And I look back at it, I'm like, damn, you know what? I got it.
Good for you,
yeah,
dude.
So yeah, no, I'm not like Kanye where I just got a
Hank Hill ass.
Yeah.
But for whatever reason, he's unfazed by that. And then what's confusing is like he looks at his ass and goes, "No, that's good." But he looks at his shoulders and goes, "I need football pads on underneath this shirt."
You bulk him up a little bit.
I don't understand. I just don't understand.
Like, granted, he has been pretty quiet, like these past few months, which is good.
Well, yeah, again, trying to offset the whole "I love Hitler and the Nazis" thing.
I'm just like, I'm kind of waiting to see what he does next, because I know it's just gonna be absurd.
Yeah. Well, this is.
Well, yeah, but like he's just like
living
out and about. Yeah, it's just some fucking TMZ reporter just like taking a picture of him.
Yeah,
out in public. But yeah, like what does he do next? Like where does he go from here? What does he do with his life?
I really don't know. I mean, he has so much money. Maybe he can get in on the PGA thing somehow. Maybe
invest. Yeah.
Maybe he can buy in. I really don't know, man. I'll just say, him and his new wife look absolutely batshit, and I am all for wearing dumb stuff. I really am.
Yeah, you wear it all the time.
Generally, I accept that the fashion world is insane and that everybody should be allowed to wear whatever they want, tuck friendly or not. This is fucking ridiculous, though. She like what? It's not just that he dressed himself, because like we all know historically what he does with women and what he did with Kim. Like he dressed her. Like that was part of their relationship. Was like he picked out her clothes. He decided what she was gonna wear.
And he got it right a lot of times.
Yes, he was in his prime fashion wise at that point.
Her, this new chick and Julia Fox,
what the fuck? They caught the raw end of the deal here. Because he puts himself in this dumbass outfit. Like, it is dumb, don't get me wrong. But then he puts her in something 40 times more idiotic so that it looks like he's less stupid by comparison. Because whatever that is, a black veil with a giant pillow, a circular pillow wrapped around her entire neck, shoulder area, and then just like, she looks like she's attending an alien funeral. That's what, she's an alien going to an alien funeral. Which I don't know how that's... Because typically the idea with fashion and shit is like you want to, I guess it's one of two things. You want to draw attention, what this certainly does that, or look good. But I think ideally you get a little bit of both. Look good and draw attention, looking good. Neither of them are accomplishing the looking good part. That's the part that's weird to me. And while everybody else is wearing baggy ass pants now, like people have by and large gone, like especially dudes in fashion have gone away. Like you look at Travis Scott now, he's wearing fucking Jenkos or whatever. Kanye was like, nope, I'm putting on tights like Peter fucking Pan and shoulder pads. We all know how I feel about where he's at this point mentally. I hope the guy pulls himself together and is able to live a happy and productive life moving forward. But it looks like he has ventured into another realm of reality that I am unfamiliar with, because you're never going to see this shit on a runway, son. Italian police shirts with shoulder pads and fucking alien funeral.
Well, you never know, because he is always ahead of the game.
Yeah, but see, I think I was thinking about this last night, sadly. I got to this exact same point where it's like, well, he was really right about a lot of stuff with footwear. Because he was putting out Yeezys back in the day, and I was like, that is the dumbest fucking shit I've ever seen. And then 3 years later, I was shelling out $220 for it. And that was tough to rationalize in my brain. Like, okay, I thought he looked like an idiot. Now I want to look like an idiot? What is happening to me? That is not where we are with this.
Oh, you just wait.
But that's what I'm saying. I think at some point, if you're right enough times, you convince yourself that you could never be wrong, ever, and then you start making really dumbass decisions. I feel like that's like a cycle of celebrity that we've watched happen before. Mm-hmm. And at some point, you just stop caring altogether, and I think that's where he's at, where it's just like, if you Google Kanye West, Bianca Censori, and all of the photos are of them in public with their crazy fucking outfits. First of all, they almost exclusively wear black.
He's been wearing just black for a while now too.
Yeah, but he's been wearing some shit like what the fuck is this? What the fuck? In this one, he doesn't have shoulder pads on. He has knee pads.
I'm looking at this one right here. He's got he
police
definitely
shirt
has shoulder
again.
pads on there.
He's got the police shirt and the shoulder pads on in that one. But this one,
and then he's got just like they don't look like socks, like they're blue, but they are you looking at?
Yeah, I don't know. These ones are a different color, but they're the same. There's a blue pair, a black pair. I just don't know where. And where do you go like this? Like, where is this like going out to dinner shit? Like she can't eat.
No,
she can't eat with that on. I just don't understand what they're gonna do. Like, why the fuck is he wearing shin guards? What are the shin guards for?
Dude, maybe he's trying to start an NFL career or something. I don't know. Dress up as an NFL player. Just needs the helmet next.
And what happened to her hair that she had when they first met, and like the photos that came out when they was like, oh, Kanye's dating this chick. She looked insanely hot.
Yeah, she looks great.
And, you know, not that I'm the arbiter of judgment or whatever, but like fucking what? I think he shaved her head and dyed it blonde. She just looks nothing like she did before him, which I guess was probably his entire point. He's a weird cat, man. A real weird cat. I prefer this to the fucking MAGA hat, I guess. Shorts and shin guards and scuba socks.
And shoulder pads, yeah. But yeah, no, I give it a year, and you're going to come on this podcast with shoulder pads on.
I also have completely different, like, he got a divorce, and then he went and found a woman that looks almost exactly like his ex-wife in build and face. I went the complete opposite direction. Could not have gone more in an opposite direction. So I feel like we've got some distance between me and Ye at this point, which is good.
That's good, yeah.
We need as much distance as possible because I rode way too hard for him.
Yeah,
for
you're
too
getting
many
a
years.
little too close to him for a while.
Yeah, that's true. That's fair. But this shit, man, I just don't. I guess, like I said, if the idea is to distract from the whole Hitler-Nazi situation, he is succeeding because I am forgetting about it rapidly as I focus on why the fuck he's wearing shoulder pads and scuba socks. Today's episode is also brought to you by Rocket Money. If you're like me and always looking to manage your budget better and save money, you need Rocket Money. Rocket Money, formerly known as Truebill, is a personal finance app that finds and cancels your unwanted subscriptions. It also monitors your spending and helps you lower your bills all in one place. Over 80% of people have subscriptions they forget about, like that streaming service you bought just to watch one show on or that free trial that you never even used. Rocket Money will quickly and easily identify your subscriptions for you so you can stop paying for the ones you don't want. Rocket Money makes canceling subscriptions as easy as the click of a button. Simply find the subscription you don't want and press cancel. Rocket Money will cancel it for you. No more long hold times with customer service or tedious emailing back and forth. Over 3 million people have used Rocket Money, saving the average person up to $720 a year. I cannot tell you how much money I've pissed away on subscriptions I wasn't even using anymore. At one point, my wife and I realized I had 3 different HBO accounts back before it became Max, and under like my 3 different emails, and I had to cancel those, and it just, all of us at this point in 2023 have subscriptions that we aren't even fucking aware of existing. And that's why Rocket Money exists. Stop throwing your money away, cancel unwanted subscriptions, and manage your expenses the easy way by going to rocketmoney.com/RBP. That's rocketmoney.com/RBP so that they know we sent you to support the show and get your finances and your budget right on rocketmoney.com/RBP. This past weekend, I mentioned last week, I can't remember if it was on Patreon or here, that I was going to get to go to do like a spa day on Saturday for my birthday. My birthday's tomorrow. I turned 36 years old. And the thing to do when you're around my age is make sure that you regularly get a massage. Because your body's starting to get a little, it's not what it used to be, I'll put it that way.
Yeah, no, you're getting old. Yeah.
I remember being your age, Cade, at 25 and feeling kind of invincible still. Like I expected I would have aged more at that point than I had. So I was like still very spry. And then over the 10 years that followed 25, I've started to feel it. Like where I just have like random pains, like more so than I used to. And this is even without drinking. Like it's not like I'm just like falling over into random shit anymore either. But stuff just starts to hurt and you get sore and you get tight. Everything gets tight. And especially when you have a newborn and you're carrying it around all day, it's like a different level of weight distribution. Like now I feel for women with gigantic titties more than ever because my back started to get jacked up like holding the baby all the time. So point is, I went to the spa this weekend and I got a massage. And this dude, like, it was a dude, first of all, and at no point did he offer me a happy ending, which was
that's a bummer.
Disappointing. And he beat the fucking shit out of me. Like,
just beat your ass.
He just whooped my ass, dude. Like, I was going in and they were like, you signed up for light pressure. Would you like moderate pressure or intense pressure? And I was like, well, we should do moderate. I don't feel like light's going to get anything done. I don't want like somebody just like lightly rub it. I need to get in there and like fix me up, right? It had been a full year since I had gotten a massage. So, I mean, like, I've been feeling it. And so moderate was my choice. But if this was moderate, you must be in a body bag if you pick the intense version, because like this guy fucked me. Like it was to the point where if you're a massage person and you get them a lot, you know how sometimes it is not enjoyable, but it is effective. So you're just like, okay, he's almost done with that side. I'll get through this side and then I'll feel a lot better. And you get through it and you do feel a lot better, but the during it is brutal. And that's how this was with this dude. Like he fucking beat the shit out of my back and my shoulders in particular. But I walked out of there and like, I've been complaining about my right shoulder for months. Didn't hurt anymore. It's gone. Pain's gone. Whatever, like, he like cracked back into place or something. It was almost like being at a chiropractor, which I've never done, and I've been told a lot of times I should do too, because that apparently is also very helpful. And I'm not saying go get massages all the time. You don't have to be bougie with it. But like, you know, if you're getting up there, try to go like once a month, once a quarter at a minimum, something like that. Like get in there and make sure that these people can work the shit out of you. Because it's not just, people think of your body as like only storing physical you know, exhaustion or pain or whatever. Also mental shit they work out of you. Like there's stuff that you store in your body, like stress in your shoulders, and all of us store it differently, but like they work that shit out of you when they do a massage. And it helps me so much where I felt like $1,000,000. We went to the pool after the massage, that pool at the spa. And I felt like a completely new human being. It was amazing. I was just fucking laying there like, oh my God, I'm the most relaxed I've ever been in my life. I could die right now. Pool was weird though, bro. This was a weird crowd. Like there was a couple sitting in front of us that had on matching Buc-ee's bathing suits. This was a nice place, and they were wearing matching Buc-ee's bathing suits. Yes,
Buc-ee's?
Yes, fucking bizarre. Just never seen that before. I was shocked by that. But then there was a group in a cabana down in the corner that were a little bit younger, maybe late 20s. And you could tell they were partying. They were getting after it. It was fucking 3:30 p.m. in the afternoon on Saturday, which is excusable, I suppose, especially at a spa or at a, you know, it was a hotel spa, so we were at a hotel pool. And at one point, my wife looks at me and she goes, "They're doing cocaine," and I was like, "Oh shit. How do you know?" And she goes, "I saw the bag." And I was like, well, that's a good fucking way to know. Apparently one of them just like passed the bag to the other one. Yeah. So I look over when she says this and I see the dude actually go ask another one of his friends for a credit card. And I was like, he literally did like the chopping up coke motion to ask for the card. And I was like, oh yeah, they're 100% doing blow. And I was kind of hoping they would just do it right there, because seeing people do brazen shit in public brings me some level of joy. It always makes me feel better, because I would have never done that. I would go do it privately
in the bathroom or something.
And then, like, what kind of a psychopath just does it at the spa pool? And they didn't, unfortunately. They went into the men's locker room to do it in private, which made me sad. But
bummer.
I did get to watch them come back out after going in, and the change in facial expression alone was just like, it was absurd. All four of these dudes, like, they went in a pack. All four of them come back like wide-eyed, just like grinding their teeth, like, oh yeah, fucking party at the pool, man. It was just like, Jesus Christ. It's been a while since I've seen anybody do hard drugs, so that was fun. There was also two girls there that we were suspicious that they might be escorts. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but you know, they seemed like they might be escorts. And they were with this group of like four dudes and
a different group of four dudes.
Yeah, not the coke doers. And
see, that seems like the kind of group you want to go to.
Yeah, maybe, but like this they were so loud and out of control, these two potential escorts and their squad of dudes. But at one point, one of the dudes is like flirting pretty hot and heavy with one of these girls, and she's on a float, and he flips her over out of the float. And she fucking knees the other girl directly in the head when she's like flipping around, like kicks her square in the head. And then the other girl kind of stumbled off like she might lose consciousness, holding her head and like trying to find the edge of the pool so she could get out. And not a single one of them noticed or cared at all.
Yeah.
It was unbelievable. I was like, what the fuck? It was just.
Oh, it sounds like I need to go to this spa. Sounds like a party.
It was the Four Seasons downtown, and it was shockingly strange at the pool. Like, I was just great people watching. Maybe it's also that I just don't get to do people watching that often anymore. But still, it was kind of a lot. There was a lot of different things going on at this pool. that got my attention.
Yeah.
Bucky's swimsuits and cocaine and potential hookers getting kicked in the face. Wild stuff. But I did leave feeling refreshed, which was nice, and I needed it. And thank you in advance for the birthday wishes. I appreciate y'all. Before we head out for the day, I implore you to support our show by subscribing on patreon.com/Ross Bolin Podcast for as little as $5 a month in exchange for even more RBP every week. Kate and I do an ad-free premium edition of RBP exclusively, available on Patreon, patreon.com/Ross Bolin Podcast. That is even more unhinged than our normal show, featuring hotline calls from listeners and sometimes, like on last week's episode, stories about Cade's side hustle, which, it turns out, is being a male stripper at bachelorette parties here in Austin. Go to patreon.com/Ross Bolin Podcast today. Support the show and get twice as much RBP every month. If you just listened to my spa story and you went, that was boring, I wish a younger person with a more social life was telling stories about their side hustle where they are a bachelorette party stripper. Cade does that on Patreon. Patreon.com/Ross Bolin Podcast. That will do it for today's show, but please support our sponsors by hitting the links in the description of this episode and using our dedicated codes, as that is how we pay the bills here at Bolin Media. You can find the links to all of our sponsors for today's episode in the description below. To check out our other shows, go to bolinmedia.com. We've got Jared J-Bone Borislow's F1 show, Formula Bone, which has a recap of the Spanish Grand Prix, as it were, which I actually watched.
Yeah, I didn't wake up for that one, so I just watched the highlights, but it seemed like it was a good one.
The dude that wins every week won
Yeah.
by like 20 seconds
Yeah.
or some shit. But it was generally pretty fun. I enjoyed it.
My guy got second, so I was happy about that.
Who's your guy?
Hamilton.
Oh, yeah. That was wild. Doesn't he? It's been a while since he finished that close to first, I feel like.
I think he did it in the first race, and then, I think this was like the last race he did it, or like the most recent one.
I feel like he's the most popular dude that's not. What's the first place guy's name?
Max Verstappen.
Max Verstappen is so good at this point. His car is so much faster than everyone else's that I literally forget he exists.
It's just like literally a race between everyone else.
It's ridiculous.
And he's just like, no, on a Sunday stroll.
Yeah, but Lewis Hamilton is the other most recognizable F1 driver to me, like the guy that gets the most coverage and social media love, I feel like. Anyway, J-Bone has a recap and preview of every single F1 race that goes on all season long on youtube.com/@FormulaBone, where he's got over 100,000 subscribers. Follow Formula Bone on all social media platforms @FormulaBone, and keep in touch with J-Bone if you are an F1 fan. We've got Oysters, Clams, and Cockles season finale coverage of Succession that has over, 11,000 views on YouTube now. If you watch the season finale of Succession and you want a recap and discussion surrounding that finale featuring myself and Mr. Barrett Dudley, my co-host on Oysters, Clams, and Cockles, go to youtube.com/@OystersClamsCockles. There's also audio wherever you listen to RBP if you would prefer that. And it looks like we are covering Silo on Apple TV Plus next on Oysters, Clams, and Cockles if you would like to ride along for a little sci-fi Silo adventure with us on OCC. If you're from Houston, Texas, Banging the Can is my Houston sports show. You can check out wherever you get RBP. And go to bolinmedia.com/shop to grab yourself some RBP merch, including the Horny for Sunsets t-shirt that Mr. Cade Orris is wearing as I speak. We've got hats, we've got coffee mugs, we've got finishing cups, all kinds of good stuff there on bolinmedia.com/shop. Follow me, Ross Bolin, on Twitter and Instagram @WRBOLEN. WR Bolin. Mr. Orris, where can the people follow you?
You can follow me @Kade Orris on all the socials, and that's KADEORRIS.
Not a C. It's
Not
a K.
a C.
It's a K. This episode of the Ross Bolin Podcast is presented by Bolin Media, and video of today's show was produced by Cade Orris. Go to youtube.com/@the-Ross-Bolin-Podcast for full video of our show, plus funny clips. We appreciate all of you who are subscribed on YouTube. It means a lot. Thank you. We'll be back later this week with another ad-free premium episode available exclusively on patreon.com/Ross-Bolin-Podcast. Until next time, peace be with you and also with you.